so this is Isaac and I'm Rebecca. Isaac, if you didn't know, but in case you don't know. And we're with Teshuva Ministries. And we are going through a very hard time that we feel documenting it or processing it out loud a little bit would be helpful for other people who experience this, and all of us.
Everybody. Because everybody has to.
Everybody has to deal with death on this side of Yeshua's second coming. And so how you process it is really, really, really important. And so Isaac and I came down here to the beach this morning to process a death in our family. Our little dog, older little dog, Kayrah, died this morning, and it was somewhat sudden. She hasn't been, a puppy. She has had issues, but nothing that prayer and some special tea wouldn't fix. So last week she was chasing sticks and grumpy as ever and running around, and she'd come sit with me when I sat down, and then I think it was Sunday, I don't know, something like that, what is this, Thursday now? It's Thursday morning. So 4 or 5 days ago she just started to not be able to walk as far, had issues, and we're just like, oh, she'll be fine, we'll pray over her, and she'll pop right back out. Well, she didn't. And so we'll cry. We'll totally cry in this video, just so you know. But death is not normal, people. It's not right. It's not the circle of life crap. Don't get sold that bunch of nonsense. It's not part of what Papa intended to be. So I want to help our hearts remember Papa's heart in all of this, because this is really a crucial moment for a lot of people. And you can totally,
let's see if nothing else gets you this one,
Well,
at least with me.
I think, like we were talking about, Isaac, this is a crucial moment, because you can choose to blame Yehovah, or you can understand the truth of what's going on, and the family in heaven, Yehovah, and the family's their heart towards us, or you can. So it's really like we need to remember who the bad guy is and who the good guy is.
Of course, we're trying to hold on to what we love and not let it go, not let her go. And so we're praying for healing.
Right.
And part of us knows that, that Papa could heal her. Like, there's some part of us that goes, he could heal her if he wanted to.
Right.
It would be so easy. And then when that doesn't happen,
then we get mad at him. Then we blame him.
That pops up. It's like, why didn't you? Or you should have. Or why did you put her through that? Or why did you put us through that? Or
yeah. And those are questions that Hasatan and demons play on this moment. They sit here and they whisper these things in our ears about the heart of Yehovah towards us in this moment, and this is where we have a choice to make as believers. Are we going to allow the evil one's ideas that he puts into our head about what's going on here? Are we going to allow that into our heart so that it will fester and make us, deep down not trust Yah, and perhaps even hate him and be angry because, you could have saved her. Why didn't you save her? I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. I fasted and prayed. Yesterday she went down so fast. I was like, whoa, what's going on? I fasted and prayed and got intercessors praying, and my mods are praying, and Isaac was praying. Everybody was praying, and it was just, Papa just allowed that to happen, and I have to give him the room to not come through in the way that I'm asking him to come through. But here's the thing, here's the clincher. Yeah, that's it.
It's gonna be loud.
Hear the water. We come down here to, this is our favorite spot to process and meet with Papa and grieve. We've done a lot of grieving down here. And yeah, I'll cry here. But
you had a cool, insight, observation, insight about the Ruach.
Yeah.
And what comfort looks like, because I was like, because I'm feeling it so hard right here that, I'm praying for comfort, but yet I'm not sure what to expect or what to expect that comfort to feel like, because I do know that you can't get around the pain.
No.
It wouldn't be right anyway.
No, you need to feel
There's
it.
no shortcut.
You don't want to be numb.
No.
You gotta feel, because Papa feels it. It's like, that's what you were saying earlier, is like, Papa feels the pain. The family in heaven feels this same pain when any death happens.
I believe it.
Because it is not right. It's not the way he intended it to work. He hates death. He hates everything that goes against love, and that would be death, ultimately, on all different levels. But this is but here's the thing.
So I was asking you, what does that, comfort look like when it comes from the Ruach in that moment?
So
what should I be looking for?
Well, okay, so to back up just a second and to say, in this moment, Papa is okay, so for us, the death, and Isaac had to bury Kayrah this morning up in the mountains, next to our other dogs, and where other dogs are buried and stuff, and so huge thing, to have to do. It's super hard, but
I want to do it.
I know. I didn't want you to have to do it, but you go for us, it feels like forever, unless you live with hope, and hope is another factor to this whole thing.
Right.
I don't know how people live without hope. I have no clue how they go to addictions, they go to
Stay numb, or
like Allie was saying this morning, it's they go towards somewhere where comfort is.
or grasp the comfort.
Grasp for comfort, which is what we were talking about. Where does the comfort come from? Well, you're going to turn to alcohol or another person, or drugs or another person, or food or addiction, some sort of addiction, somewhere to get comfort. And yet, as a believer, what do you do with that need? Because there is that need for comfort. Well, you go to Papa. But if you have a history of lifetime of not trusting Papa, what would you go there? So the idea is we have to really think through his role in this whole thing. Remember, he's a good guy, and the family's the good family, and there's an evil one. So anyway, my point was looking at it through Papa's lens and not my own pain, and saying, Papa says it's okay, Rebecca. He knows that he can resurrect Kayrah. That's not a big deal for him at all. He can totally bring her back to life. It's not a big deal. And he says to me and to my heart, I will bring her back to life. Now the challenge for him is not for him keeping her alive or bringing her back to life. That's not, I mean, all of that's like no big deal. But what's the big deal for him now is keeping our hearts with him through this process, because it would be very, very easy for most people to listen to Hasatan and just play that game and just deep down have that question about Yah's heart towards us and go, no, you don't really mean me well. You could have stopped it if you wanted to. You could have saved her life if you wanted to. So when you start down that path, it blames him. You put blame him.
Be angry at him, even hate him.
And it's like, but he has done he reminds me in this moment that he has done everything he can, and he's continuing to do everything he can to get to the other side of this war so that he can give her back to us. Like,
yeah, like for keeps.
For keeps. Like, and she'll be young, and I don't mind if she'll be grouchy. She's a grouchy girl. She always has been ever since she was little. I don't care. I want her back. I want my other dogs back. I want the good that was stolen from me back. And I know who the evil one is. I know what the dark side is, and I know where my hope lies. And it only lies in the fact that Yehovah knows and is willing to resurrect what Hasatan and the darkness has stolen. But here's the trick: is he's got to keep us with him, right, through this course of the process of grieving and healing, because it can be so devastating, and we can turn and be so angry at him for not saving our loved ones. But in the end, he's like, I'm totally capable of resurrecting them. That's not the big deal. I got to get you to stay in contract with me until the very end so that I can give you back what your heart desires and what I wanted you to have in the first place. And it's where I can make restoration happen. And you know, on some levels, not just restoration for us, it's restoration for him. You know, to be able to get to see creation as he intended, to get to, oh, Yeshua's going to have such a crazy, beautiful moment of when he's going to be healing for his heart, to be able to, like, give us back what our enemy has taken. So here's the thing, is the Ruach is called Comforter, right? The Ruach HaKodesh is called, I'll get back to your question now. That was a long tangent. Oh, I'm slouching. I just feel like, the weight of the world. Okay, so the Ruach HaKodesh is called Comfort, and we're supposed to be comforted, right? And so we have this idea of what comfort is. You know, comfort means, oh, I feel good inside, or that's what we think it means. We attest that comfort, that word comfort, to like how we feel. But I want, like I was saying earlier, and tell me if I'm wrong because I'm a little fuzzy, but the comforter's job, if you look at Isaac's question was, how do you know if the Ruach is here comforting you when you're in pain and grieving, right? Basically. And if you look at this is my opinion, but if you look at what the job of the Ruach HaKodesh is, she is given to us to move us into covenant, into alignment with Yehovah. So there's no, like, that's her main job. All right. And so, yeah, she reveals herself in many different ways to us at different times in our life, but her main job is to move us into alignment with him. And so at this moment, her job is to keep us in alignment with him and not turn and curse him. That's the point right now. That's the job of the Ruach, and that's our job, is to say, okay, I'm not going to curse you. I know who's right. I know who the evil one is. I know who the good one is. Papa's on our side. He's not set against us. How is he going to make this right? And does he want to make it right? Yes, he wants to make it right. He's done everything he possibly can to make it right, to make a path so that he can make it completely right in the future. He can't make it right now. He can't do that right now. It's not time. It's not the appointed time yet. And it's totally rots. It totally sucks. But we don't live forever in this state. None of us, dogs, animals, people, we don't live forever in this state. And he is tried with all his strength. The family Yehovah, the Ruach, and Yeshua, they have all done everything they possibly can to make a way. And now they're mostly concerned with not bringing our animals back to life because they got that covered. They can totally do that, and they will do that. But in order to do that, they got to get us to the end. They got to get us all the way to the end without us sacrificing that covenant relationship. If we sacrifice that covenant relationship, we become like our forefathers who broke the covenant and worshipped other gods and didn't trust that he was there. We're going to lose out on that moment. And I want that moment where restoration happens. I want to see it with my own eyes. I want to see Kayrah run to us, and I want to see Katie and Nate.
You will.
I know I
And I can look back over just over the course of the morning and like the drive up to the mountains a little time, and like my heart's breaking, and those feelings and thoughts are changing every second. But you know, the temptation is there. You know, to question Papa and question his heart, but now I can see what you said happening as well, where then I'm snapped back, you know, to feeling that no, Papa is on my side, and he is good, and it's not his fault that all this is happening. You know, he didn't create the death and stuff.
He's at war against it.
Yeah. You know, in one way that I can remember my heart snapping back one time this morning was being clued into the fact that he feels it too, like you mentioned earlier.
Right.
That he feels the pain, he feels the loss.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And I think he feels it, and then at the same time he knows he can bring them back to life. This is not a big deal for him. It's easy, and it will happen. And so that's where the pain he feels is if we turn on him in that moment. Like, he hates the loss, he hates death, they feel the pain, absolutely. But there's also this thing that they also have to they also have to deal with, is like, are Isaac and Rebecca going to stay with us? Or are they going to turn and curse us? What are they going to do? And at this point in our life, 50 years, and we've been through a whole lot of loss, I know that they know our heart well enough to know that we're not going to turn on them. We're not going to turn. I also know that I think they trust us, and I think that happened from a lot of wilderness time, a lot of trials and things that we've been through already to prove that.
Well, some of us, like myself, need a little reminder though of that fact. That says,
I know.
And so that's good. I know that he doesn't. I know that he does. That he doesn't like to see us be heartbroken.
No.
Even though he knows the outcome, he doesn't like to see us.
Oh no.
In pain. He wants to see their child hurting. But at the same time, like you said, he knows where the real answer and where the real permanent solution
It's too noisy.
lies.
Right.
It is kind of noisy. Bit of a wake. Look, the duck doesn't mind.
Where's the duck? Oh, the duck. Alright, so did we cover everything we wanted to? And Isaac's actually gonna mikvah. What are you mikvahing for?
Well, when the dam broke this morning, it was pretty clear that I've been packing it around for quite a while. A little bit behind on some tears, and so I can probably repent from holding on to it. And then
Hold on to the pain.
yeah, and whether it's by going to comforters or whatever, just to avoid it or put it off or whatever.
Yeah.
but also for, you know, those moments of questioning Papa's heart. You know, I'm aware of being pulled back, so I'm grateful for that. But there were those moments, so I could also repeat that.
Cool.
I feel it's a little early in the process for the purification.
Yeah. So when we lost one of our other dogs, it was it just had a lot of, my eyes are like puffy, so just a lot of like it just smelled like death for so long in our lives. It was drawn out and stuff, and so we did a mikvah purification right before Shabbat that week, and it was very, very healing, and it was awesome, and it really, really felt good inside to do. But today it's just not time for that. It doesn't feel the same either, but he's gonna get in the water, and anyway, I just wanted to process this moment on camera to encourage and help you as a believer deal with death, because death is something we all have to deal with on whatever level we have to deal with it, and we don't live forever. We're not immortal yet, and we have to pay the consequences of living here on this planet in the state that it's in. But I want to help point your head in the right direction. I was born with this ability to point my head in the right direction. I never ever have I questioned, at least that I can remember. I've never questioned the heart of Yah in this moment. I've always been very clear on evil and good, and I've come over the course of the years been able to understand more clearly the story and clearly Yah's heart towards us, for sure. But when you're in so much pain, you can kind of be blind sometimes and not know what your heart's doing. And I just encourage you to stay tuned with what your heart's doing. Allow it to breathe, allow it to grieve, and get those tears out, and get mad and beat on Papa's chest. He's big enough for that, and he understands. He sees the pain, he feels it, and he's angry about it. He's so stinking angry. The whole family is so mad at what has gone down, and they're warriors. They're not going to give up. They have an end, and it's going to come at an appointed time, and at that appointed time it will be over. There will be no more pain, no more suffering, no more tears, no more death, nothing. And to get there is absolutely worth everything. If you have to do something here in this life in order to get there, do it, which you do have to. You have to keep the commandments. You have to keep the covenant, the royal law of love. So do that with all your everything, like Yeshua said. And obey and get into that contract so you can see your animals again, so you can see the ones that are going to be restored again. Not everybody's going to be, but you let Papa deal with that. You just deal with your own life and wrapped around Yah's heart and know his heart. And by the way, you don't go anywhere when you die. You melt into the earth. Go see my teaching on death if you want to know what the scripture says on that. So Kayrah is nowhere right now. She's just sleeping, waiting for the king to come back. And because she is ours and we are in covenant, she's part of our family. She doesn't have free will like we do. She's going to be there if we're there. So we need to make sure we're there. Okay, so we're gonna go cry some more, and he's gonna mikvah, and love ya to the king. May he come soon.
Yes.
just was saying that well, what were you saying? Because it was really good. And then I have one more thing I wanted to bring up.
You mean about the awareness?
Yeah, what you were just realizing is that
Well, we were talking about how
people can make an agreement.
I can understand that I can see how somebody, after going through this enough times, would say, I'm never getting another animal. You know, but we both agree that, yeah, you miss out on
the life.
all the good for that little bit of pain.
At the end.
The price you gotta no payment that comes due at the end.
Here on this side of the return.
Right. Oh, so then I was commenting about how I live all those in between years with that awareness of the end.
Of the end.
That there is an end. And I'm
That's
conscious of
awful.
that all the time in between.
That is just awful. So he has to get back in the water and repent of that. That's awful. To like have the end in sight the whole time you're trying to live. Yeah, I have one other thing I wanted to like just point out real quick. That Isaac had an epiphany this week. What was it? Just a couple days ago about he heard a conversation, a podcast, a talk or whatnot on the radio when he was trucking, and it was basically talking about, what is it, a doctor who went through school and and when he got to where they were teaching about how to abort a baby or something, I don't know, his stomach started turning and he realized that this was wrong.
He had kind of been, his story was he'd kind of been pro-choice more or less just by default, not by really thinking about it, because he hadn't really thought about it and thought it through. But then he got confronted with it, and then he just knew that something was really wrong.
Yeah, it was the whole idea and how they were using words that were, what did you say that the words were? Like obscure words in order to describe murder, basically.
Right. Yeah, to cloud and cover up the reality and the truth.
Just like the speech, the terms are used to basically, and I just find that kind of wild. It feels like what's going on right now is like the muffling thing. I can't hear you. I don't understand you. And it's like Hasatan has just muzzled all his people, so that it's just chaos and you can't understand a thing. But Papa made us to have, clear voices and a clear sound and a clear frequency. Like Yom Kippur is coming up, which is one of the things it's about is being a trumpet and having a clear sound, making a clear sound. But if you're mumbled, how can you make a clear sound? So if you're saying words that, are dancing around what it really is, then you're not having a clear sound. But anyway, point being is that they observed something when they were combining, when they were doing
I think it was something that was observable or that they noticed during, and I think it was in vitro fertilization.
Right.
I don't pretend to understand the mechanics of that, but they discovered something that occurs at the moment of conception.
Super cool. I don't know if you've heard it before, but like at the moment that the sperm and the egg come together, there is a burst of light. Right?
There's an exchange
it's like amazing.
Of ions some passing in, some passing out, that like
that cause light.
Light. Actual observable light.
Like how cool is that? As we are, Yeshua calls us light, that he is the light of the world, and with him in us and living through us, we're the light, and we're like literally the light, like that spark of life. And so I think about our doggie, and I'm like, she had that light of life for that time, and he's going to give that back, and it's going to be this huge explosions everywhere, explosions, I don't know, just the idea of that happening, him hearing that this week, when we're facing death, is like, that's super cool. So, and when those two things come together and they do that exchange, light happens. Light, a burst of light. Ah!
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Ah! Oh, I just had a thought. Perhaps that light was supposed to stay lit.
Well, we talked about it metaphorically when we like talk about, you know, the light in someone's eye, or
Right.
the light getting dim, or the light going out, or those sorts of things.
Right.
But they're not like literal, like
Visible light. Well, yeah, like when we think about Adam and Hava and what they, you know, I've heard it said that we actually exuded light, like light glowed from us, and so when that died, they felt naked. And so some things to think about. Super cool. Anyway, that burst of light.
That is comforting for me today when I have questions come up about, you know, did I do the right thing, or other things I don't even want to like vocalize. But to know that Papa's the one that can create light,
Right.
and light, and he's the one who can give it, and is responsible for it.
Right.
You know, so he's the one that I need to release Kata's light to.
Right.
Because I can't hold it, I can't be responsible for it now. In a way we were when it's our domain, we had to make some tough decisions and stuff, but in there, it's really weird, and it's just part of the weirdness of and wrongness, I think, of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But now, on this side of it, then I have to release that.
And then let go.
And let go of that as well.
And I'm proud of Isaac because he took care of his heart last night in the middle of this. He took care of his heart. Well, he had to. Kayrah was having symptoms. He did research on it, found out that it could be solved, and so made the decision to take her into the emergency room, a doggie or animal emergency vet, and to at least so he could know that he did everything he could, and to find out the truth, to find out what was going on, and then there was hard decisions at that point. But just to take that step to say, let's just make sure that I've done everything I can, and that took care of his heart yesterday, so he doesn't have to go into the rest of his life thinking could I, would, you know, because those questions will just tank you and become arrows that Hasatan uses to pierce you and to take you out. And he does that by making you question the heart of Yehovah towards you. And that's why we're doing this video, is I want to make sure that you understand that Yah's heart towards you is good. Hasatan's heart towards you is evil, but Yah is all about fixing this and making it right. He just needs us to do something in order for him to be able to make it right. He won't be able to right every wrong, because not everyone who has, we're all made with free will. Not everyone is going to do what he tells us to do. Not everyone's going to cooperate. But for those that do cooperate, he is going to get to make it right and vindicate us. Yeah, give us the happily ever after. All right, enough crying. Anything else you want to say? May Yehovah be your hope. May Yehovah be your strength, your courage. May He be all your hope. Put all your hope in His hand. He will remember.